Deranged is a 1974 horror film directed by Alan Ormsby and Jeff Gillen. Loosely based on the true story of notorious Wisconsin murderer and grave robber Ed Gein. The film follows the descent into madness of Ezra Cobb, a quiet and seemingly harmless man living in rural America. As the story unfolds, we witness Ezra's disturbing transformation from a lonely, grieving son to a deranged killer who descends into the depths of depravity. The film opens with a somber tone as we are introduced to Ezra Cobb, portrayed with eerie realism by Robert Blossom. Ezra is a middle-aged man who lives with his domineering mother, Martha, in a secluded farmhouse. Martha is a stern, religious woman who exerts a suffocating influence over Ezra, keeping him isolated from the outside world. Ezra's life takes a tragic turn when his beloved mother passes away. Devastated by her death, Ezra struggles to cope with his overwhelming grief and loneliness. With Martha gone, Ezra's fragile mental state begins to unravel, and he becomes increasingly unhinged. Haunted by memories of his mother, Ezra starts to exhibit disturbing behavior. He becomes obsessed with preserving her memory, going to extreme lengths to keep her presence alive in the house. He spends hours talking to her corpse, convinced that she is still with him in spirit. As Ezra's obsession grows, so does his descent into madness. He starts to hear voices and see visions of his mother, driving him further into a state of delirium. Consumed by his twisted fantasies, Ezra begins to lose touch with reality, and his actions become increasingly erratic and violent. Driven by a perverse desire to preserve his mother's legacy, Ezra turns to grave robbing, desecrating the final resting places of the dead to satisfy his morbid cravings. His nocturnal excursions into the local cemetery become increasingly frequent as he seeks out fresh corpses to satisfy his macabre urges. But grave robbing is not enough to quench Ezra's thirst for blood. As his sanity slips further away, he begins to target the living, luring unsuspecting victims to his farmhouse under false pretenses. Once inside, they become prisoners in his twisted world, subjected to unspeakable horrors at the hands of a madman. As the body count rises, the authorities become aware of the string of disappearances plaguing the town. Detective Tom Shea, portrayed by Cosette Lee, is assigned to the case, determined to uncover the truth behind the mysterious disappearances. Meanwhile, Ezra's grip on reality continues to weaken as he spirals further into madness. His farmhouse becomes a chamber of horrors, filled with grisly reminders of his depravity. Human remains are strewn about the property, serving as grotesque trophies of Ezra's descent into darkness. Despite his best efforts to evade capture, Ezra's reign of terror eventually comes to an end when Detective Shea closes in on his hideout. In a tense showdown, Shea confronts Ezra in his lair, leading to a violent struggle between the two men. In the end, Ezra is finally subdued and taken into custody, but the horrors he unleashed will haunt the town for years to come. As the credits roll, we are left with a chilling reminder of the darkness that lurks within the human soul, and the terrifying consequences of unchecked madness. Deranged is a chilling tale of horror and madness that explores the depths of the human psyche. With its eerie atmosphere, unsettling performances, and gruesome imagery, it remains a cult classic of the genre, leaving a lasting impression on audiences long after the final frame fades to black.